Hello and welcome to our first week of UED 451, where we're going to be learning about exceptional learners as we go through the next 8 weeks together. So since this is an online class, I thought that it might be more helpful for you if I did a weekly video announcement, kind of introducing what it is that you're going to be learning about, going over any of the assignments, and just kind of touching base each week. I know sometimes it's hard to feel like you are interacting when you're away from a classroom, but I'm a firm believer that every learning community should actually be a community. So we are going to be interacting together through discussion boards and questions that we post. So I thought that it would be nice to kind of have a video introduction. And so my goal is each week to have a video announcement for you as well, especially as we get into some of the assignments so that you are certain that you know exactly what it is that you're supposed to be doing, when things are due, and things like that. So just a little bit about me. I taught for Regent quite a few years ago. While I was staying home with my two daughters. And so I'm excited to be back. This is my second semester back at Regent. My full-time job is actually being the head of the early childhood program over at TCC. I'm located on the Virginia Beach campus, so when I have to come to Regent, it literally is about 5 minutes up the road. So I have been passionate about education pretty much my whole life, and I'm a product of a lot of Virginia schools. I graduated from Kellum, what I call the real Kellum, the one that's on Holland Road. The new one is too modern for me, but I'm glad that they are state of the art. And I actually have a niece and a nephew who are a third generation that are going through Kellum. I got my undergraduate degree at James Madison, I got my master's degree at Old Dominion, and I got my doctorate at Regent. So obviously I'm a big fan of Regent and a big proponent of their educational program. So as we go throughout this course, you're going to kind of find that the first couple of weeks are really kind of introduction to special education, some of the terminology, some of the legal definitions, legal mandates that have come down regarding special education. But I did want you to know that really the scope of this course is meant to look at exceptional learners through the lens of general education. As you know, if you're going to be a special education teacher, that requires a completely different degree and license. But even as a general education teacher, you are going to be encountering children who, whether or not the disabilities have been identified or not, you still need to be able to learn how to reach them, how to best instruct them, and what kinds of resources are available to you. So as we're going through the course, obviously we're focusing on special education and we're focusing on children with identified disabilities, but please remember that these practices are going to be good, developmentally appropriate practices for all children, not just children with disabilities. So as we get started in our first week, I just kind of wanted to show you how I have Blackboard set up for you. So I am only going to release each week one at a time. And the reason that I do that is because, especially in an 8-week course, it's really difficult to not already feel overwhelmed because the size of the textbook, the amount of work that you have to do. So I really try and keep it manageable. So you're only going to see 1 week at a time. So every Monday morning, there's going to be a new announcement and a new folder that's open for you under the course content that's going to have everything that you need for the week. But rest assured that any of the actual assignments, they are never going to be due the same week that I assign them. I typically try and give at least 2 weeks for you to get them done. So you don't need to worry that you haven't had enough advance notice. So if you look at the first week, you're going to see that when you click here, The first thing you're always going to see is the outline. It's actually from the publisher, but the reason I keep it in here is because it's got some great links. So if you're going through the text and you're finding something that you're really interested in, all kinds of additional resources and extra links are provided for you so that you can get even more information. Then the next folder that you'll find is always going to be the study folder, and this is where you're going to find the PowerPoint that I've created that goes along with the content. So each week for the first 7 weeks, we're going to be covering 2 chapters, and then our last week we're only going to do 1 chapter, which is chapter 15. So what I've done is I've taken the information from the 2 chapters that you're going to read and I've combined it into 1 PowerPoint. So I use what some of the information that the publisher has, but I've added a lot to them. And the other thing that I try and add into the PowerPoints are videos, and not lengthy videos, short YouTube videos or documentaries, things that I think would be really helpful to you. Because one of the things that you're going to find about my style of teaching is I am so much about being a practical and applicable teacher. So I think that it's important that not only you understand the material, but more importantly is, do you understand how to apply it in the classroom? And so the videos that I embed into the PowerPoints are meant to kind of show you in action what it is that we're talking about. So it is not meant to take the place of reading the chapters because there's so much more information than what's listed in the PowerPoint, but it is kind of a culmination of things that I think are the most important to take away from the chapters that you're reading. And then these are some additional resources. They come from that same outline that I showed at the beginning. So the next folder you're going to see is going to be where your assignments are. So each week you're going to see this is exactly what you need to do. So for this week you're going to be reading the first 2 chapters in the book. You're going to be looking at the PowerPoint, making sure that you introduce yourself on discussion board. And then your weekly participation is going to come from 2 things. So each week you're going to have a weekly quiz. Now before anyone freaks out about the quizzes, please know that I have set them up so that you have unlimited attempts as well as unlimited time. But as stated before, there's so much information in the chapters that sometimes it's really hard to kind of see the forest for the trees. And so these quizzes, they are all multiple choice. There will never be more than 25 questions, but they are what I think are the most important things to take from these chapters. So you can do it as you're reading. You can do one and then stop and come back. So I have set it up so it's not ever meant to be punitive. It's meant to be helpful and an extra teaching tool. So each week you're going to have a weekly quiz. And you're going to have a discussion board where I'm either giving you a case study or I'm asking you to watch a video and respond to questions. So as I said before, I just think it's so important to be able to take the information and apply it and see it in action. And when it comes to things like exceptional learners, those are things that most of us have not encountered a lot. And as pre-service teachers, these are things that really can kind of help you as you get into the classroom. So when you click under the assignment, you're going to see for this week, here's the actual case study, and then here's the questions that you're going to be answering. So when you go into discussion board, not only do you need to answer these questions, but please respond to at least 2 of your classmates. And remember, responding to a classmate is much more than great job or I agree with you. So you don't have to write a dissertation, but I do need to see that you really have kind of read and reflected on what someone else has said so that we really, again, are engaging in a learning community. Here's the quiz that you're going to take. And again, please remember, unlimited attempts. You can take it as many times as you need, and you can take as long as you need. And then the last thing is when there are weeks where I'm introducing an actual assignment, that will be in this folder as well. So this is a good time to go ahead and talk about the first assignment that I'm going to be having you do, which is one I think that you will enjoy because I'm asking you to watch a movie. So there's been all kinds of movies, old, new, black and white, color, that have featured characters that have some kind of disability. So I've given you a few examples, but there's a million more. So please don't feel that you're limited to these. And so after you view the film, these are the questions that I want you to answer. And the reason I'm having you do this is because I think that so many times we get complacent when we see people who are different, and so we're not sure what we're supposed to do, so we just kind of avoid. When we actually stop and think about how we should be treating everyone, not just as teachers, not just as people, as Christians, then I think that it's important that we kind of learn how to analyze some of these behaviors. So even if you've seen some of these videos before, I recommend re-watching it because you're looking at a different lens. So you're going to be looking at the kinds of problems that these people encountered, how they were treated by other people, how could this information help you in the classroom. So as you write this film analysis, please know it should not be any more than 5 pages. Simply just answer the questions fully, but make sure that I can clearly see what your answers are to each one of these questions. So whether you want to do it through headings or just making sure that the topic sentence of your paragraphs really kind of identify which questions you're answering, that's going to help me as I'm grading. And so here's the rubric that goes along with it. So, so that's what's going to be each week in your assignments folder, anything that you have to do for the week. If there is an extra discussion board, then you're going to find it here. This is the one for week 1 about introducing yourself. And then if there's any notes that I want to add. So that really is how I have the course set up for you. And so hopefully the predictability of it is going to make it a little bit easier for you as you go. But please know I'm here always to answer questions. The best way to get a hold of me is through email because it comes through on every device that I own. And so I can respond to you in a very timely manner. Hopefully this little introduction has helped as we are starting this journey together. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to the insights that you're going to bring as we're going through this course. So please feel free to share freely as we're going. And I hope that you really enjoy how I've set up the course with some practical elements so that you feel like you're going to be able to get into the classroom and have a much bigger toolbox. So have a fantastic week, and I will see you in week 2.